All right. So hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good day to you all, wherever you're from. Today, hi again. Welcome back to Global Amateur Podcast with me, Norman Sim, and with me, Salsa here today. Today, our topic is quite different from the rest. I would say we're looking more into the conflict and COVID-19 issues pertaining to Latin America side, which has not been focused much, especially from other groups as well, and also from us in Global Amateurs Podcast. Today with us, we have our guest speaker who is really interesting and also really really intelligent in this type of topic. His name is Mr. Irwan. Mr.
Hi.
Irwan has also hi there everyone. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Irwan,
Yeah,
for
thank
this
you.
podcast.
Likewise.
Like that from Mr. Irwan. Yeah, Mr. Irwan is also an ex-president of IRSOC. So whoever from IRSOC joining us and listening to our podcast here today, you have your alumni here right now. So if you have anything, do check out Mr. Irwan here, who is also going to be talking about our topic today. So Mr. Irwan focuses on a few topics, but his main topic that he focuses here today is about Colombia. And today that's going to be our main topic. And today there'll be a few questions that will be asked to Mr. Irwan. So thank you very much, Mr. Irwan, for joining us again, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast.
Okay, welcome.
Mr. Irwan, can you talk us a bit about the situation like in Colombia right now? I mean, you can give a brief introduction a bit about the COVID-19 pandemic and how the Colombians are actually trying to manage their pandemic situation right there. So can you start with that, Mr. Irwan?
Well, okay. Basically, Latin America used to be the epicenter of the COVID-19 when the pandemic started in March 2020. All right. Up to today, there are 3.2 million cases in Colombia alone, with 85,000 deaths. Okay, in Bogota only, the death toll is about 18,000. So the new cases on average in Colombia is about 18.9 thousand. Yeah, the situation is quite bad. Um, this is contributed by a lot of factors. As you said, as you know, currently, the Colombian people are having demonstration, protesting against the government, and it is one of the major factors in contributing of the rising numbers of COVID-19 in Colombia. As the world know, the Colombia actually facing a lot of social issues. Okay, at first in the March of 2020 when the COVID-19 broke, okay, the government of Colombia actually did a good job. Okay, the government decided to enforce lockdown, practice social distancing, everything, but it came with a cost. Okay, um, the government of Colombia actually spent about 700 million US dollar, right, as an assistance for the people who suffered uh, because of the COVID-19. So because of that, the Colombian government, especially in the economic sector, is having a very major problem. Okay, that's why the president Colombia, President Duque, decided to impose the new tax reform to cover back all the expenses that the government made during the first wave of the COVID-19. This is actually the reason why the people of Colombia decided to go out to the street and to protest of the government action. So as I can say, the situation is quite critical and quite bad, and I believe that in the next few months, the numbers will be rising up. Okay, that's the current situation in Colombia, especially in the capital city of Bogota lah.
Sir Irwan, we
Yeah.
know the increasing case number of COVID-19
Yeah.
really made the ICU's occupancy in Bogota stands at 94%.
Yeah,
Even
true.
as any patients will be transferred by air to other cities. Is there any certain efforts from government to resolve this?
Well, basically, according to the mayor of Bogota, Madam Lopez, um, they are ready for the what we call it as a crisis as hospital collapse, you know, because in Colombia alone, about 8,000 bed are being used, nearly 8,000 bed and being used in the ICU ward, and this is a quite very high numbers of cases. Um, Therefore, Mr. Lopez, Madam Lopez, the Bogota mayor, decided that they are ready for any circumstances, any consequences. Um, what they call it as hospital collapse. Um, of course, there will be an additional of ICU, ICU bed, and also manpower for the health to support the system. But again, according to her, that this the hospital system, the health system in Bogota itself, they cannot hold quite long, you know, because of the demonstration and what's not that's happening around Colombia. Therefore, they decided to screen the people who involved in the protest, to screen first and to isolate them earlier. That's how they manage the situation in Colombia right now, especially in Bogota.
Yeah. Um, maybe I should chat Norman first
Okay.
because it's his turn. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Norman, I have asked Mr. Irwan my second question just
Yeah,
now.
this
All right.
this
Yeah.
the situation of the ICU. All right. Okay. Let me repeat back because of the situation is very bad, especially in Bogota, and they describe the situation as hospital collapse. Okay, so they admit that they are not ready for this. However, they trying their level best to ensure that it won't become worse than now, because the whole of Colombia, about what, nearly 8,000 patients with COVID-19 are in the ICU. Okay, so one of the step taken by the hospital is to isolate people who infected with COVID-19 from joining the protest. That's the first stage, right? So that's at the moment that's what they can do. Besides additional bed for the ICUs and also additional manpower.
Salsa, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like after Mr. Irwan, you have explained about this. Like how's it? Could you like explain? I mean, like explain to me, like will you see like another? I mean, like another thorough demonstration, like compared to previous demonstrations before. Like, do you think like this will escalate to a new uprising, or maybe to the extent of having a coup?
Oh,
From your understanding of the
okay.
Colombian politics.
Good
Yeah.
question. Actually, for your information, the Colombians are what we describe as conflict fatigue. They had enough with conflicts because the conflicts there is already for 50 years, you know. So literally, like the whole of their life they are spent in conflicts, so they don't care anymore about conflicts. Okay, and they don't care about any president that promise about peace and prosperity in Colombia, because all presidents are quite the same. For example, um, President Santos was the first president, was the president who actually initiated the current peace process in 2016, and the peace process is continued by the current President Duque. But unfortunately, he because President Duque, if you go through his background, he is the far right, you know, the far right. Therefore, he was against the peace process. Okay, so when he became the president, so most of the reform programs that the government promised, they didn't he didn't follow up, or he didn't initiate it at all. So therefore it creates some what we call it, skirmish, okay, among the people, and some part of the majority of the Colombia, actually they lose trust of the government institution because of this, right? The demonstration actually started in 28 April, the current one, because of the idea of tax reform. Uh, the tax reform actually was to lower down the threshold of the people who being taxed from, I think, from 1,000 to $650. So it means that most of the people will have to pay tax. Okay, that's number one. Number two is about putting tax on the staple or on the basic necessities like eggs, flour. So they put a VAT tax there. Okay, and then no exemption at all for the taxpayer. So it creates unrest between the people, since because most people are affected by the COVID-19 because of unemployment, and also the skyrocketing of cost of living. So therefore they protest about the tax reform. President uh, Duque actually described this protest as low intense terrorism, because he believed that the rebel group actually are behind this protest, and it is subsidized by the drug cartel. You know, so he decided that, of course, this protest is illegal, and he decided that at first he didn't want to bend down to all the demands from the protest. However, he changed his mind. So the tax reform actually is being cancelled, right? But the protest is still there. Okay, the protest is still there because of um, the violence committed by the police. Okay, up to today, there are like 40 death cases of protests. Okay, so, and actually the violence by the police committed by the police and security forces are being condemned by the NGO, Human Rights Watch around the world. Okay, so now the protest is all about to ask the government to disband the riot police, and number one, and number two, to bring the security forces who committed the crime during the demonstration, the protest, uh, for justice, right? By an independent body, not by the court. Okay. Um, Furthermore, and current at first this protest was initiated by the trade union and students, but currently it will be joined by the indigenous people, Afro Colombian, to say that they didn't receive any protection from the government from the violence committed by the rebels. Okay, so even the politician, even the what we call it, the political analyst there, they don't foresee that the protest will end. Perhaps it's another 1 or 2 months. Okay. Um, the irony is when they talk about unemployment, when they talk about what we call it, poverty during the protest, they actually set up blockade or roadblocks, and it disrupt the supply chain, the fuel, the food, and it makes all the small but because small medium industry closed their shops and industry because of this protest. And the sad thing is they do the vandalism, they burn the court also. So it's quite irony for us. From my point of view, it's quite irony because one side they protest about being left out in the economy, being poverty, and also unemployed, but in the same time they disrupt the economy that is going on, you know. So therefore, I don't think the protest will end soon.
I see. So like since like you also mentioned about the Colombian peace process, can you like further elaborate on that? So like the audience may know more about what is the Colombian peace process, because not many people in, I mean, I would say like have actually really covered extensively about what is the Colombian peace process. So can you further explain to us as well?
Okay. Um, Colombian conflict started in 1950s, led by what we call it as because against the government during the time. And the Colombian conflict actually is one of the longest conflict in the world. It spans about 50 years. Okay, it displaced about 5 million people, and also about 500 to 500,000 people die because of this conflict. Okay, it is basically between uh, FARC, okay, what we call it as a major rebel group in the Colombia, and also the government. Okay, um, it's for 50 years, FARC they fight for the people, because Colombia, as you know, is very the situation, the economic situation is the poverty is quite the real poverty is quite high, and there is a inequality between the people. Okay, so they were like, I think they were like five attempts on peace process before this, but all actually didn't succeed because of spoilers. When I talk about spoilers, this is my research topic, is the actors who actually spoil the peace process for their own benefit, you know. So even the government of Colombia actually was one of the spoiler. And in my research now, I try to predict or forecast that even the president of Colombia now is one of the spoiler also, because actually he didn't want to go forward, to move forward the peace process. Okay, because he was, as I said, he was the right wing, and also the one who really against the peace process. Okay. The peace process was signed in 2016. It was like euphoria during that time, right? And even President Santos received a Nobel Award for it. Okay. Um, but as time goes by, as I said, the Colombians are conflict fatigue. Okay, they don't care anymore, right? They don't care about the peace. They don't care about what we call it, their safety. What they care now is about their how they want to survive from day to day. Because as I said, most of the people now, younger generation, they were born in this displacement. No, they don't have their own home, they don't have their own identity. So all their life has been spent in a conflict time. Okay, that's why when the COVID-19 came or arrived at the Colombian shore, um, they don't care about the consequences. What they care is about how they want to eat and how they want to survive. That's all. You know, this is their mentality. Compared to different part of the world where we actually really scared of the pandemic, really scared of yeah, what if our family, when we contracted infected by the COVID-19? That's their mentality there. That's why whenever they have protests, they will all out go. Even though the government actually imposed curfew until now, because their curfew is between 12 midnight to 5 a.m. Okay. But the people still go out to the street and join the protest because they think that livelihood is more important than the COVID-19.
Oh wow, I see. It's quite interesting when you say about the so-called the Colombians conflict fatigue. I
Yeah.
kind of like that word totally much. Like okay, seemingly like I mean we have asked, we have seen all those things happening. I'd like to hear from Salsabila. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Mr. Irwan here, Salsabila?
Yeah, like what Mr. Irwan has
Go
said
ahead.
before. Yeah, I want to know more about the demonstration in Colombia. Although the president has withdrawn the tax reform, why
Mm.
is the demonstration still continuing for 3 weeks long? Yeah,
Okay.
it's related.
The root cause of the demonstration is number one is poverty. Okay, because of COVID-19 alone, 1.4 people, 1.45 million Colombians have fallen into poverty. You know, so that's number one. That's the main reason. Number two is unemployment rate. Unemployment rate in Colombia at the moment is 15%, and the government actually failed to provide jobs for the people. And of course, total numbers of people who are under poverty line in Colombia now is 3.6 million. It's quite high. Okay. And as I said, the new addition to the demonstration is the Afro-Colombian people. Those people who live in the rural area, who their livelihood being affected by the rebels, that really, and then they allege that the government actually failed to give them protection. That is the root cause. The demonstration at first was initiated or joined by the trade unions and the students, and now it involved the indigenous people too. That's the root cause, and also currently they are demanding for the president and the government of Colombia to disband the riot police because of the death of 40 protesters.
Wow, I see. Any more further questions from Salsabila? You would like to ask anything more? Is there any follow up? Before I move on to, because like I do have some questions that actually I like to know more about it, especially pertaining to your research. But before that, Salsabila, can you go ahead?
Could you please explain what aspects that will going to be affected by the increasing case number of COVID-19 and demonstration in Colombia?
Well, when you say aspects, right? Of course, it's about economy. Okay, it's about economy because what they fight now, what they protest now is about economy, and the effect also is about economy. Okay, um, as a whole, the Colombia people will affected by inequality and poverty. Okay, even if there are no COVID-19, even if there is no protests, the people Colombia still affected by poverty and employment because of actually the inequality, disparity in income is quite high there. Okay, um, and this pandemic actually make it worse the situation. So the curfew, actually, when I talk about Bogota, because it started in Bogota and Cali and spread it in other cities, um, the curfew in Bogota will be lifted on the 8th June, okay? When the governor of mayor of Bogota realized that actually the young people of Bogota, they really looking forward to for employment and also uh, food, and they really don't care about the COVID-19. Okay, therefore, like Malaysia, it's very hard to balance between livelihood and also lives. So we have to strike a really good balance between these two things. But in Colombia, because as I said, you have the conflict fatigue. Now they have the pandemic fatigue. So plus two, they said okay, they're open. They lift the curfew and then they let the Colombian or people to just carry on with their normal life.
So yeah, Mr. Irwan, like after hearing from that as well, like I mean, like I'm quite since like previously you talked about the spoilers about the Colombian peace process. Can you
Mm.
tell me more about who are the spoilers? Like besides the government, who are the spoilers actually involving it? And I mean this is a very I would say rash judgment, but I would say like um do you think that because of this demonstration that this actually might end up destroying, I would say, disrupt the whole Parliament peace process that was put up, especially in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct.
So what is your opinion about that? And but first things first, can you explain a bit, go further about the spoilers? Who are they and actually
Okay.
how did they even do it? Yeah.
All right. Spoilers basically is the actors who inside or outside of the peace process who actually benefited from peace process by derailing the peace process. So in Colombian peace process, the direct actors that involved in the peace process are the Colombian government and also FARC. Okay. The outside actors or parties are considered as drug cartel and refugees, displaced IDPs, internal displaced people, and also some said like perhaps international communities like, for example, Venezuela and government, you know. Okay, so why the current peace process actually is very fragile because of because of the what we call it, the government of Colombia itself decided not to take serious on the reformation. Okay, because the previous government, they promised that there will be reformation, especially in rural area, in terms of land distribution, employment, you know. So when the new government take over in 2018, so they decided not to follow through with like 50% of the reformation plan because of budget constraint. Okay, so therefore I believe that the situation in Colombia is still not stable because of budget constraint and plus the pandemic, you know, the COVID-19. Of course, most of the programs in the peace process has to be stopped for a while. And in fact, the vacuum left by the FARC rebels actually is being filled in by the drug cartels, the organized crime, and also what we call it, some mercenaries, you know. They take over the area that once controlled by the FARC and they impose their own rules and regulation there, you know. So when one party left, one actor left the conflict area, and the vacuum there will be filled by another party. So it is like going on, you know, it means it will never stop. Especially Colombia is known as a cocaine, you know, producer in the world. So it's like a mind goal for some of the organized crime and also smugglers.
I see. Okay, so like, I mean, like, because this demonstration is still ongoing, and you say like the Colombians are conflict fatigues. I mean, like, fanatics about it.
Mm.
So, I mean, like, do you think like they're going to the extent actually re-engaging with the FARC that was stated by you previously
No,
to fill up
because
that vacuum itself?
FARC actually is already disbanded and labeled as a political party now. Okay, but the ex-FARC fighters, FARC fighters, who actually still believe in the ideology, they stay in the jungle and continue to collaborate with other smaller rebels and groups uh, to take control of certain area, especially in the rural areas. Okay, engage with FARC is I don't think it will happen because the FARC actually joined the election when once is established a political party that they lost. Okay, at first they thought the people will support them. Okay, unfortunately during the election they lost. They lost, and they know that right now at the moment the people will be not on their side anymore. Okay, so no point engaging FARC, also rebels or other what we call it, other terrorists or organized crime groups. Okay, what we want now is to for the Colombian government to fulfill its promises. Okay, to do reformation in terms of land distribution, means giving back the land that once taken by the original owners, landowners. Um, give education and also to provide employment. Okay. Uh, when they accept the refugees from Venezuela, when the crisis in Venezuela erupted, Colombia accepted about almost 1 million refugees from Venezuela, and they are given access to health and also education. Okay, therefore it create unease or tension between Colombians and also the Venezuelan refugees. And again, this also contribute to instability of the political situation in Colombia because the fight between the Colombian and also the Venezuelan refugees, you know, and it plus or add a burden to the government to provide the basic necessities for the Venezuelan refugees. So it's quite complicated and messy in Colombia right now.
I see. Like since like I've started to notice this trend of like the Colombians also engage with their own political instability. You have the Venezuelans, engage
Yeah.
with their own political instability. So do you think like this is like another Arab Spring, where each country will have its own connection with it? So do you foresee like this actually might spill to the next country, who say Peru or
uh,
maybe
mm.
Bolivia, or yeah? What do you think
This
about that?
that's one thing about interesting thing about Latin America, because for example Colombia is the largest democracy in Latin America, you know. They never fail to have election. Um, even if the country is under attack uh, uh, or not stable, politically not stable because of the insurgency, but they still uh, what we call it? They still hold an election every 4 to 5 years to elect a new president, a new government. And the spillover effect actually is term of, I think, in term of economic and social and not political. In term of social, if the mobility of the refugees between the countries who affected by the conflict, and also the trespassing of the organized crime, the rebel group from one country or one state to another. That's all. But because they don't actually interfere with other political drama or crisis, domestic crisis with each other. Okay. In fact, for the peace process between the government of Colombia and also the guarantor for the peace actually Chile, you know, Chile and even Venezuela actually was one of the guarantor of the peace process. They support the peace process because they know if uh if the if the peace process fail, and of course their country also affected by the insurgency.
All right. Okay. It's a very interesting insight from you about that point of view, because I personally thought, that might spill off to the next country. But yeah, I totally agree with you. But I think like Salsa has like some questions she likes to ask as well. So I'll let Salsa go ahead with it. Salsa, you have anything you want to say about it? I believe she has something to tell. Yeah, go ahead.
What is the citizen hope towards government? The main concern.
Okay, very easy. Um, the government should introduce the universal basic income, to at least guarantee a minimum income for the people. Okay, and also free education. Most of the students there um, actually is looking forward to go to schools to further their study at colleges and universities, but unfortunately because of lack of income, no money, then they remain as unemployed, and also they didn't get a proper education, and this actually contribute to the social problems in Colombia. Easy money, dealing with drugs, working with drug cartels, supporting the organized crime is very easy money, you know. So in order to curb the social problems, introduce the universal basic income and free education. So I think with these two incentive or initiative, I think the level of poverty and also those Colombia who can receive education, it can raise, and also the society as a whole will be benefit from these two initiatives, provided that the government actually have money to support all these initiatives.
I see. All right. So, Salsa, do you have anything else? Because I also have like a question I'd like to ask as well. Like, I mean, okay, if there is no, then I think I can ask that, because like I
Yeah,
actually like
can
to, yeah,
continue.
you're like, all right, Salsa. So yeah, I mean, like, so what do you foresee in this current situation? Like, do you think the government will come to a common ground with, I mean, like with what you've said as well? Or
Okay.
do you think the government would just be as what they used to do by not, by neglecting the citizens of Colombia itself? What do you think about it? What do you foresee?
Okay. The government at this particular moment is having a negotiation with the National Strike Committee, those an umbrella group who organize the demonstration and protest. Okay, and again, because the term of the current president is going to end next year to 22, so there is 50-50 chances of him actually to accept the proposal, to or to just simply ignore all the demands. Okay, so because he's known as doesn't bow to any demand from protester or even terrorist group or even from rebels group, you know. So for Colombian people to get whatever they want, for example, uh, what we call it, uh, employment, you know, free education is impossible. Okay, perhaps what he can do to repair the relationship or the perception of people is, number one, to accept the demand of to disband the riot police. That's the first thing he should do. Okay, because this is the what we call the major demand. Okay, from the protester. Once he if he can disband this riot group, is can consider as a confidence builder, you know. He can win the trust of the people, at least some, perhaps 20% of trust, and then they can move forwards. They can think about other information, other plan, and then they can move forward with it. So the first thing he should do is to disband the riot police, and also to bring the security forces who involved in the violence, and sentence them to jail or punish them. That's the first thing that he should do as a confidence building initiative, or to let the Colombian people to trust him back, to win the trust.
I see. All right. It's a very interesting talk with you, as Mr. Irwan. Like, I mean, like we from Global Amateurs have not really covered much about Latin America side. I personally am a fan of Argentina, so I don't
Oh.
really have prior experience. I like to rest.
Perhaps next topic you can do is the peace process itself, because
I
peace process
see.
itself is a very very interesting topic, and you can relate with African uh, conflict and any conflict in the world, even in the Southeast Asian conflict. You know, peace process is quite interesting topic itself.
I see. And I guess we hope to do that as well with you, because like I'm very interested with this, and I think we could work, more to this. But seemingly the time is already, running out from
Yeah,
what we have scheduled. So yeah, so I think it ends here. But before that, I'll just like to thank you very much, Mr.
you're
Irwan,
welcome. Yeah.
for joining us.
Everyone.
Des- Despite it being quite late and I having internet issues and you being patient while waiting for it. So yeah, so I just like to thank you very much, Mr. Irwan, for joining us, and
Alright.
also thank you very much for the audience out there joining us today as well. I know it's been quite a long topic, but it's, I think, a very insightful topic and very interesting to tell about, and a good suggestion by Mr. Irwan. So I just say thank you very much.
Alright, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irwan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Before
Irwan.
Thank you very much, also. Before we end, should I tell anything out there from Mr. Irwan, should I tell anybody out, what to expect about when you do research about, Latin America, and then tell them about?
Well, Latin America is not about football, Brazil, Argentina. You know, Copa America is coming up. I know, but the 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 continent itself, the region itself, is very interesting, and there are very less research on that particular in this particular region. I myself, even one of the obstacles, because most of the research are in Spanish or Latin. You know, it's very hard to find in English. Even the peace process document is in English, in Spanish. No, so that's the main obstacles. But it's once you get hold of the beauty of Latin America, the political situation, because you have left wing government, you have right wing government, you have centered government. all centered there, you know. And then of course, you had the Che Guevara, you know, the famous Che. So it's all revolutions. It's all started in Latin America. So it is a region where I encourage you guys to do research on.
I see. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Irwan, once again. Thank you
Alright.
very much also for the question as well. But thank you so much.
Alright.